Alex shifted the last heavy box onto the kitchen counter, exhaling sharply as he rolled his shoulders. "That's the last one," he announced, shaking his arms out. Jordan grinned, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. "Finally, I was starting to think I'd have to bribe you to keep going." Alex chuckled. "Yeah? With what? More beer?" "Maybe," Jordan teased, nudging a half-empty six-pack on the counter. "Or something better." Alex ignored the way his stomach twisted at that. He blamed it on exhaustion. Jordan's new apartment was small but nice. One bedroom, modern finishes, and a large window that let in the last golden rays of the evening sun. It still smelled like fresh paint and untouched space, waiting to be lived in. It was a clean slate, a fresh start. Alex should have been thinking about that. But instead, his focus kept drifting back to Jordan. The way his muscles tensed as he lifted a box. The way his shirt clung to his back, damp from moving. The way he laughed, easy and effortless, like nothing in the world could bother him. Alex had always noticed things about Jordan. Since college, since their years of being best friends. But it never meant anything. It couldn't mean anything. Jordan was straight. At least, that's what Alex had always assumed. "All right, man," Jordan sighed, dropping onto the couch they'd wrestled through the narrow doorway earlier. "You're officially the best friend I've ever had." Alex smirked, grabbing a beer before collapsing beside him. "Damn right I am." They sat in comfortable silence, the sound of distant city traffic filtering in through the window. The apartment wasn't fully unpacked yet, but it already felt right. Jordan took a slow sip of his beer before glancing over. "Kinda crazy, huh? New place, new life. Feels like the first real step into adulthood." Alex nodded, but his gaze lingered. "Yeah, feels like something big." Jordan grinned, looking back at him. "Well, you're the first person to make it feel like home." Alex forced a chuckle, looking away. It was nothing, just Jordan being Jordan. But still, that feeling stirred inside him. Something unspoken, something waiting to be understood. And for the first time, Alex wasn't sure he wanted to ignore it. The apartment was a mess of half-unpacked boxes and scattered beer bottles, but neither of them cared. The hard floor had become their temporary couch, backs resting against the bare wall, legs stretched out in front of them. The only light came from the warm glow of a lamp on the counter, casting long shadows that flickered as they moved. Alex took another sip of his beer, feeling the weight of the day settle into his muscles. "So how does it feel? First night in the new place." Jordan exhaled slowly, rolling the bottle between his palms. "Weird. Good, but weird. Like I'm supposed to feel more. I don't know." "Settled." Alex arched a brow. "You just moved in today. Get a week." Jordan chuckled. "Yeah, I guess. Just feels like I should be further along, you know?" He leaned his head back against the wall, gazed distant. "Like, after breaking up with Hannah, I thought I'd feel free. But mostly I just feel lost." Alex turned slightly, studying his face. "You never really talked about that. What happened?" Jordan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Nothing dramatic. We were together for almost 2 years, but in the end, it just felt off. Like I was playing a role, doing all the right things, saying all the right words, but something was missing." Alex swallowed, his grip tightening around the bottle. "What do you mean?" Jordan hesitated. His fingers tapped lightly against the glass, as if he were weighing something unspoken. "I don't know. Like, I kept waiting for it to feel right. For that feeling that tells you this is it." He shook his head, but it never came. Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to say something, anything, but the words tangled in his throat. Jordan turned to him then, his expression softer than before, his eyes shadowed with something Alex couldn't name. Their laughter had faded, the air between them thickening into something else. Alex felt it, the warmth, the weight of unspoken things. And then Jordan said, "You ever think about what it'd be like to try something different?" The words were quiet, barely above a whisper, but they cut through the air like a spark catching fire. Alex's breath hitched. His fingers tightened around the bottle. "What do you mean?" Jordan didn't look away. He just watched him, as if waiting for something, as if searching for an answer in Alex's face. The silence stretched, heavy and charged. And in that moment, Alex realized this was different. This was something else entirely. Jordan sat there for a moment, his fingers gripping the bottle like he was holding onto something heavier than glass. His words still lingered between them, unanswered, and Alex wasn't sure if he should acknowledge them or pretend he hadn't heard. But then Jordan stood up. "Come here," he said, his voice quieter now, more certain. Alex hesitated. "Where?" Jordan didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward the hallway, stopping in front of a door Alex had assumed was just another storage space. He placed his hand on the knob, but didn't turn it. His shoulders lifted with a slow breath. Then, finally, he pushed the door open. The bedroom was sparse, just a bed, a dresser, and a few unopened boxes stacked in the corner. The curtains were drawn, allowing only a sliver of moonlight to spill across the floor. Jordan walked over to the dresser and opened the top drawer, rummaging through it before pulling something out. A small photograph. He stared at it for a second before turning it toward Alex. "This was the happiest I ever was." Alex stepped closer, eyes falling on the photo. It was them, back in college, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. A party, judging by the red cups in their hands, the messy apartment in the background. Jordan had his arms slung around Alex's shoulders, both of them grinning, laughing at something just out of frame. It was nothing special, just a moment caught in time. But the way Jordan looked at it, the way his fingers lingered over the edges, made Alex's chest tighten. "I was too," Alex admitted, his voice almost too soft to hear. Jordan looked up then, not at the picture, at him. The air between them thickened, heavy with something unspoken, something waiting. Jordan's fingers traced the edge of the photo before he set it down on the dresser. Then he stepped closer. "I need to ask you something." His voice was quieter now, almost fragile. Something I've never said out loud before. Alex's pulse pounded in his ears. He could feel the warmth of Jordan's body just inches away, the tension crackling like static electricity. He swallowed. "Okay." Jordan hesitated, searching Alex's face for something, permission, understanding, a way forward. And then he whispered, "Did you ever feel it too?" The space between them shrank, but neither of them moved away. Jordan's question still hung in the air, unanswered. "Did you ever feel it too?" Alex didn't know how to respond. Not with words, at least. His heart pounded so hard he swore Jordan could hear it. Jordan's fingers twitched at his side, hesitating, before finally reaching out. He brushed his fingertips along the back of Alex's hand. Just barely, just enough. It was subtle, a touch so light it could have been accidental. But it wasn't. Alex felt his breath hitch. His skin burned where Jordan's fingers had traced. This was dangerous. This was crossing a line. He should step back, laugh it off, say something stupid to break the moment. But he didn't. Instead, he stayed. Jordan's fingers ghosted over his again, slower this time, more deliberate. He wasn't testing the waters anymore. He was waiting for Alex to pull away, to stop this before it started. But Alex didn't move. Jordan exhaled, something shaky, something real, before murmuring, "Tell me to stop." Alex swallowed hard. He could, he should, but he didn't. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, his body betraying him, leaning in just enough. Just enough for Jordan to see his answer. And that was all it took. Jordan closed the distance. The first press of their lips was hesitant, cautious, like neither of them fully believed this was happening. Like they were still afraid of what it meant. Then, slowly, the hesitation faded. Jordan's hands found Alex's waist, fingertips pressing into fabric, pulling him in. Alex responded instinctively, his own hands gripping Jordan's shoulders, steadying himself as heat flooded through him. The kiss deepened, years of unspoken tension unraveling between them. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was real, and that's what terrified Alex the most. When they finally pulled away, their breaths were uneven, their bodies still too close. Jordan searched his face, eyes dark and unreadable. "Alex." Alex shook his head, not in rejection, but in disbelief. He exhaled sharply, trying to steady himself. "We can't pretend that didn't happen." Jordan swallowed, his grip on Alex's waist tightening for just a second before he finally let go. "I know," he admitted, "because nothing would ever be the same again." Sunlight streamed through the half-open blinds, casting golden streaks across the living room. The apartment was quiet, except for the faint hum of the city waking outside. Alex stared at the ceiling, his heart still unsteady from the night before. His body felt heavy, weighed down by the memories replaying in his head. The lingering touch, the way Jordan had looked at him, the way neither of them had pulled away. What had we done? He wasn't sure when he had finally fallen asleep. He had crashed on the couch, mind racing, his fingers still tingling for where they had clung to Jordan's shirt. Now, in the light of day, everything felt real. And with that reality came fear. Had he just ruined everything? The sound of a door creaking open made him tense. Footsteps, soft but deliberate. Then Jordan. Alex turned his head just as Jordan stepped into the living room. He was wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, his hair still slightly messy from sleep. He hesitated near the edge of the room, as if debating whether to come closer. Alex swallowed, his throat dry. "Hey." Jordan's lips twitched in something close to a smile. "Hey." A beat of silence. Heavy, uncertain. Then Jordan crossed the room and sat down beside him, close enough for Alex to feel the warmth of his body, but not close enough for them to touch. Neither of them spoke at first. Alex exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. "So last night," Jordan let out a slow breath. "Yeah." Alex forced himself to look at him. It was a mistake. Jordan's brows furrowed. He didn't answer right away, like he wanted to choose his words carefully. Then, finally, he said, "No, it wasn't a mistake." Alex's breath caught. He hadn't realized just how much he needed to hear those words until now. The weight in his chest, the one that had been pressing down on him since the moment their lips had parted, finally lifted. His shoulders sagged. "Good," he murmured. Jordan studied him for a moment before speaking again. "I don't know what this means yet," he admitted, voice softer now. "I just know that. I don't regret it." Alex turned fully toward him now, searching his face. "Then what now?" Jordan's lips curled into a small, genuine smile. "We figured out." His fingers brushed briefly against Alex's, not holding, not grabbing, just there, together. And for the first time in a long time, Alex felt at peace.